Have you ever wondered how a civilization can survive for more than 4,000 years, while so many powerful empires disappear from history? What made China become one of the most influential countries the world has ever known? Before we travel through this incredible story, take 1 second to support the channel. Like this video, subscribe for more English listening practice, and share it with someone who loves history. Your support helps us continue creating stories that educate and inspire people around the world. Now, let us begin our journey. Imagine a world without modern cities, without cars, without electricity, and without the internet. Imagine a time when people depended entirely on nature for survival. Thousands of years ago, long before China became the nation we know today, small groups of people lived near rivers and fertile land. One of the most important rivers in Chinese history was the Yellow River. This river flowed through northern China and provided water for farming. The land around it was rich and fertile, making it possible for people to grow crops and build communities. Life was not easy. Floods often destroyed villages and crops. Families worked hard every day simply to survive. Yet these early people were determined. They learned how to farm, build homes, and cooperate with one another. Over time, villages grew larger. Families formed clans, and clans joined together to create tribes. As populations increased, leaders emerged. Some leaders protected their people. Others wanted more power and control. According to ancient Chinese traditions, several legendary rulers helped organize society. While historians are not certain about every detail, these stories became an important part of Chinese culture and identity. Eventually, the first Chinese dynasties appeared. A dynasty is a series of rulers from the same family. The earliest dynasty often mentioned is the Jia dynasty, although historians continue to debate some details about it. The Jia represents the beginning of organized rule in ancient China. After the Jia came the Shang dynasty. The Shang ruled more than 3,000 years ago and left behind important evidence of their civilization. The Shang people built cities, developed bronze technology, and created some of the earliest forms of Chinese writing. They believed strongly in gods and ancestors. Kings often asked questions about the future by carving symbols onto animal bones and turtle shells. These oracle bones became one of the greatest archaeological discoveries in Chinese history. They allow us to hear the voices of people who lived thousands of years ago. The Shang dynasty became powerful, but like many dynasties, it eventually weakened. New leaders challenged their authority, and another dynasty rose to power. This new dynasty was called the Zhou dynasty. The Zhou introduced an idea that would influence Chinese history for centuries. It was called the Mandate of Heaven. According to this belief, heaven gave rulers the right to govern. However, if rulers became cruel, corrupt, or ineffective, heaven could take away that right. This idea helped explain why dynasties rose and fell throughout Chinese history. The Zhou dynasty lasted for many centuries. During this period, Chinese culture continued to develop. New ideas about government, morality, and society emerged. Among the most influential thinkers was a man named Confucius. Confucius believed that society worked best when people treated one another with respect, honesty, and responsibility. He taught that rulers should lead by example and that families should value loyalty and kindness. His teachings became deeply connected to Chinese culture and continued to influence people. Today, another important thinker was Laozi, associated with Taoism. Taoism encouraged people to live in harmony with nature and follow the natural flow of life. These philosophical traditions helped shape Chinese civilization for thousands of years. However, despite these cultural achievements, political unity began to break apart. The Zhou dynasty weakened, and China entered a period of division known as the Warring States period. Different states competed for power. Armies marched across the land. Battles became larger and more destructive. For ordinary people, life was difficult and uncertain. Yet from this chaos emerged a young ruler who would change history forever. His name was Ying Zheng. Ying Zheng became ruler of the state of Qin when he was still very young. Unlike many leaders before him, he had a bold vision. He wanted to unite all of China under a single government. One by one, Qin armies defeated rival states. The campaigns were long and brutal, but eventually Ying Zheng achieved what many believed was impossible. Into 21 BCE, he unified China. For the first time, much of the region was governed by one ruler. To mark this achievement, Ying Zheng gave himself a new title. He called himself Qin Shi Huang, which means the first emperor of Qin. His accomplishments were extraordinary. He standardized writing so people from different regions could communicate. more easily. He created common systems of weights and measurements. He improved roads and transportation. He strengthened central government authority. China became more connected than ever before. Yet Qin Shi Huang was also known for his strict rule. He punished critics harshly and demanded complete obedience. Most importantly, he feared death. Like many powerful rulers throughout history, he wanted his legacy to last forever. This fear led him to create one of the most remarkable wonders of the ancient world. He ordered the construction of an enormous tomb. Inside and around the tomb, thousands of life-sized clay soldiers were created. These soldiers became known as the Terracotta Army. Each figure was unique. Each face looked different. There were generals, archers, cavalrymen, and horses. The emperor believed they would protect him in the afterlife. For over 2,000 years, the Terracotta Army remained hidden underground. Then, in 1974, farmers digging a well made an incredible discovery. They uncovered one of the clay figures. Archaeologists soon realized they had found one of history's greatest treasures. Today, millions of visitors travel to see the Terracotta Army and learn about the first emperor. Despite all his achievements, Qin Shi Huang could not escape death. He died in 10 BCE. Soon afterward, the Qin dynasty collapsed. The empire he created survived, but his family did not remain in power. A new dynasty soon emerged. It would become one of the most successful periods in Chinese history. The Han Dynasty. The founder of the Han Dynasty was Liu Bang. Unlike many rulers, Liu Bang came from a humble background. He understood ordinary people and gained support through alliances and leadership. After defeating his rivals, he became emperor. Under the Han Dynasty, China entered a period of stability and growth. Agriculture improved. Trade expanded. Education flourished. Government became more organized. Confucian ideas influenced administration and public life. The Han Dynasty also opened China to wider connections with the world. Merchants traveled across vast distances, carrying silk, spices, precious metals, and other goods. These trade routes became known as the Silk Road. The Silk Road connected China with Central Asia, the Middle East, and Europe. But it was not only goods that traveled. Ideas traveled, religions traveled. Languages traveled, cultures interacted and influenced one another. China became part of a growing network that linked distant civilizations. The Han era is often remembered as a golden age. Art, science, literature, and technology advanced significantly. For many Chinese people, the Han Dynasty represented a time of prosperity and achievement. Even today, many Chinese people identify themselves as Han Chinese. But no dynasty lasts forever. Eventually, political struggles, corruption, and unrest weakened the Han Dynasty. The empire fragmented once again. China entered centuries of division. Different kingdoms fought for control. New dynasties rose and fell. Yet throughout these changes, Chinese culture remained strong. People continued to preserve traditions, language, and knowledge. History moved forward. And eventually another great age arrived. If you're enjoying this journey through China's incredible past, now is a perfect moment to show your support. Tap the like button, subscribe so you never miss a new story, and share this video with someone who enjoys learning English through history. Every click helps this channel grow and reach more learners around the world. One of the greatest dynasties after the Han was the Tang Dynasty. The Tang period is often considered one of the most brilliant eras in Chinese history. During this time, China became powerful, wealthy, and culturally vibrant. The capital city, Chang'an, was one of the largest cities in the world. Merchants, travelers, scholars, and diplomats arrived from many countries. The city was filled with diversity and opportunity. Poetry flourished during the Tang Dynasty. Some of China's greatest poets lived during this era. Their works are still studied and admired today. Art, music, and literature reached remarkable levels of sophistication. Scientific knowledge expanded. Trade networks grew stronger. China influenced neighboring regions across Asia. The Tang Dynasty demonstrated how cultural achievement can become just as important as military power. However, even this golden age faced challenges. Internal conflicts and rebellions weakened the government. Over time, the dynasty declined. China once again entered periods of division and change. Centuries passed. Then a new force appeared from the northern grasslands. This force would transform not only China but much of the world. The Mongols. The Mongols were skilled horsemen who lived on the vast steppes of Central Asia. Under the leadership of Genghis Khan, they united previously divided tribes. Genghis Khan built one of the largest empires in human history. His armies moved with incredible speed. They conquered vast territories across Asia and Europe. After Genghis Khan's death, his descendants continued expanding the empire. Eventually, Mongol forces focused their attention on China. The conquest was long and difficult. Chinese states resisted fiercely, but the Mongols persisted. Finally, in 1279, they achieved complete control over China. The new ruling dynasty became known as the Yuan dynasty. Its most famous ruler was Kublai Khan, grandson of Genghis Khan. Kublai Khan recognized the value of Chinese administration and culture. He adopted many Chinese traditions while maintaining Mongol authority. His court attracted visitors from distant lands. Among them was a young merchant from Venice named Marco Polo. Marco Polo spent years traveling through China. When he returned to Europe, he described magnificent cities, advanced technologies, and extraordinary wealth. Many Europeans found his stories difficult to believe, yet much of what he described was real. China remained one of the world's most advanced civilizations. Nevertheless, Mongol rule faced growing problems. Natural disasters struck, economic difficulties increased, rebellions spread. Eventually, the Yuan dynasty collapsed. A new Chinese dynasty emerged, the Ming dynasty. The founder of the Ming dynasty was Zhu Yuanzhang. His early life was marked by poverty. He experienced hardship, hunger, and uncertainty, yet through determination and leadership, he rose to power. In 1368, he established the Ming dynasty. The Ming period became another great chapter in Chinese history. Government was strengthened. Agriculture improved. Population grew. Trade expanded. Chinese craftsmanship became famous around the world. Porcelain produced during the Ming dynasty remains highly valued even today. The Ming rulers also invested heavily in defense. They rebuilt and expanded large sections of the Great Wall. Although earlier walls existed, many of the sections visible today were constructed or reinforced during the Ming era. The Great Wall stretched across mountains, valleys, and deserts. It symbolized security, strength, and determination. Building it required enormous effort. Countless workers contributed to its construction over many generations. The wall became one of humanity's greatest engineering achievements. The Ming dynasty was also known for exploration. A famous admiral named Zheng, he led enormous naval expeditions. His treasure fleets sailed across Southeast Asia, India, Arabia, and East Africa. These voyages demonstrated China's technological capabilities and international influence. At the time, Zheng He's ships were among the largest in the world. His journeys connected China with distant societies and cultures. For a period, China stood as one of the most powerful and sophisticated civilizations on Earth. Yet once again, history followed its familiar pattern. Challenges emerged, political struggles increased, economic pressures grew. Eventually, the Ming dynasty weakened. In 1644, a new dynasty took control, the Qing dynasty. The Qing rulers came from the Manchu people of northeastern Asia. Although they were not ethnic Han Chinese, they adopted many Chinese traditions and institutions. The Qing dynasty governed a vast empire. Territory expanded. Population increased dramatically. For a time, the dynasty enjoyed significant success. However, the world was changing rapidly. European nations were becoming increasingly powerful. Industrialization transformed economies and militaries. New technologies appeared. Global trade networks expanded. China faced pressures unlike anything it had experienced before. Foreign powers demanded greater access to Chinese markets. Conflicts developed over trade and political influence. One of the most significant events was the Opium War with Britain. The war exposed weaknesses within the Qing government. China was forced to accept unfavorable agreements. Foreign influence grew. Meanwhile, internal problems intensified. Corruption weakened government institutions. Natural disasters affected millions. Large rebellions erupted. Among them was the Taiping Rebellion, one of the deadliest conflicts in human history. Millions of people lost their lives. The Qing dynasty struggled to maintain control. By the late 19th century, many Chinese leaders recognized the need for reform. They wanted to modernize the country and strengthen its position in the world. But change came slowly. Dissatisfaction continued to grow. Eventually, revolutionary movements gained momentum. People demanded a new political system. In 1912, the Qing dynasty officially ended. China's last emperor, Pui, left the throne. More than 2,000 years of imperial rule came to an end. A new era had begun, yet China's journey into the modern world was far from simple. Political instability continued. Different groups competed for power. Foreign invasions created additional challenges. The 20th century became one of the most turbulent periods in Chinese history. Civil wars erupted, economic struggles persisted. Then came one of the most devastating conflicts of all. The Second Sino-Japanese War. Cities were destroyed, millions suffered. Families were separated. The nation endured tremendous hardship. Yet despite these difficulties, the Chinese people continued moving forward. After years of conflict, a new government emerged in 1949. The People's Republic of China was established. The country entered another major chapter in its long history. The decades that followed brought significant transformation. Some policies achieved progress, others created serious difficulties. China experienced political campaigns, economic experiments, and social change on an enormous scale. The nation faced successes and setbacks, but one thing remained constant: the determination of its people. Beginning in the late 20th century, China introduced major economic reforms. Industries expanded, cities grew rapidly, millions of people moved from rural areas to urban centers. Infrastructure projects transformed transportation and communication. Modern China developed at an extraordinary pace. Today, China is home to some of the world's largest cities. It has advanced technology, high-speed rail networks, major industries, and a significant role in global affairs. Yet modern China also remains connected to its ancient roots. Traditional festivals continue to be celebrated. Historical sites attract visitors from around the world. Ancient philosophies still influence daily life. The story of China is not simply the story of emperors and wars. It is also the story of farmers, teachers, artists, merchants, inventors, and ordinary people. Generation after generation contributed to the development of one of humanity's oldest continuous civilizations. Think about how many changes China has witnessed. Ancient villages became cities, kingdoms became empires, dynasties rose and fell, foreign invasions came and went, revolutions transformed society. Technology reshaped everyday life, and through all of it, Chinese civilization endured. That's a remarkable achievement. Quick pause before we continue to the final part of this journey. If you've learned something new today, reward yourself by hitting the like button, subscribe to join our growing community of English learners, and share this video so others can discover these amazing stories too. Your support truly makes a difference. Perhaps one of the most fascinating lessons from Chinese history is the idea of renewal. Again and again, China faced challenges that seemed overwhelming. Empires collapsed, wars devastated regions, economies struggled, yet time after time, people rebuilt. Communities recovered. New generations created fresh opportunities. This pattern of resilience appears throughout Chinese history. It is visible in the rise of new dynasties after periods of chaos. It is visible in the preservation of culture despite foreign conquest. It is visible in the modernization efforts of recent centuries. History often teaches us that success is not about avoiding difficulties. Instead, success comes from responding to difficulties with determination and adaptability. China's long history provides countless examples of this principle. Another important lesson concerns the power of ideas. Confucianism, Taoism, Buddhism, and many other traditions influenced how people understood the world. These ideas shaped governments, families, education, and culture. They helped create continuity across centuries of change. Ideas can outlive armies. Ideas can outlive rulers. Ideas can travel farther than walls or borders. That is one reason why Chinese civilization has remained influential for so long. Art and culture also played an important role. Poets captured emotions through words. Painters expressed beauty through images. Architects created magnificent structures. Inventors developed technologies that changed daily life. Paper, printing, gunpowder, and the compass are among the inventions associated with China that had global impact. These contributions influenced societies far beyond East Asia. When we study history, we often focus on famous leaders, but civilizations are built by millions of people whose names are never recorded. Farmers growing food, craftsmen creating tools, teachers educating children, workers constructing roads and buildings. Their efforts form the foundation of every society. China's History reminds us of that truth. As our journey comes to an end, take a moment to imagine the thousands of years we have traveled together, from the banks of the Yellow River to the courts of emperors to the Terracotta Army to the Silk Road to the Great Wall to the bustling cities of modern China. It has been an extraordinary journey through time. And perhaps the greatest lesson of all is this: nothing remains exactly the same forever. Power changes, governments change, technology changes, the world changes, but curiosity, learning, and human determination continue. Those qualities connect us to people who lived thousands of years ago. Just as ancient scholars sought knowledge, we seek knowledge today. Just as travelers explored distant lands, we explore history through stories. Just as civilizations learned and adapted, we continue learning and adapting in our own lives. And if you are learning English right now, remember that every minute you spend listening helps you improve. Progress may seem slow sometimes, but every new word, every new sentence, and every new story brings you closer to your goals. Learning a language is a journey, just like history itself. Step by step, day by day, you move forward. Before we finish, here's one final invitation. Become part of our learning family by liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing it with a friend. Together we can explore more fascinating stories, improve our English, and continue discovering the incredible history of our world. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the entire history of China. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep exploring the stories that shaped our world.